Are you always capped on poetics? Do you want to get a glowy, shiny, pretty-ass weapon with the least possible effort? Then the Heavensward Anima weapons are the grind for you. Hello and welcome back, goats, to the Big Blue Purple channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Anima weapon experience in 2022. Before we get into the video, it's been brought to my attention by YouTube that 100% of you are not subscribed. Thank you for your patronage. The Anima weapons are the least grindy yet most time-gated relics in the game. This is the I don't want to do shit relic, but I really want a cool-ass shiny weapon relic. The Heavensward relics are divided into 8 stages as opposed to the 6 of the Zodiac weapons. There's actually 2 ways you can go about doing the first step of the relic. If the relic is for a job that existed in a Realm Reborn, you can actually trade in the Zodiac weapon for that class if you did the relic, for the first step of the Anima weapon to just instantly complete. If you're playing like Astro, Dark Knight, or Machinist, or you just don't have the Zodiac weapon, all you have to do is collect 5 different luminous crystals. These are from Fates and Heavensward zones. It's similar to the Atma step, but it's only 5 drops that you need, and they seem much more common. I don't know if I just got pretty lucky in my experience, but I got all of these crystals within the first 3 Fates in each zone. Anyways, with the 5 crystals acquired, you just go and trade those in with Sindani and Mordona. She'll give you an Astral Nodule and an Umbral Nodule. The next step is going to ask you to just go run a bunch of dungeons. I think it'll be 5 from a Realm Reborn and 5 from Heavensward. This won't take too long if you're unsyncing them, but it's kind of an annoying step regardless. And honestly, once you've done these 10 dungeons, you're pretty much through the most tedious part of the quest. Obviously, the amount of poetics you need can be pretty annoying, but this part is like the most a Realm Reborn Zodiac weapon-esque step. Either way, next up you'll be faced with your first opportunity to actually spend poetics. You'll need to get 4 of these unidentifiable items from Sundry Splendors. They cost 150 tomes each, but it's actually possible to get them through Alexander Gordius as well. I believe you can also get them from Beast Tribes and other sources, but if you're just planning to do this passively, pick them up with poetics. If you do want to farm this relic and really focus on it, then Alexander seems like the move. You just have to get the parts from there and then trade them in. You'll also need to get these 4 items that cost company seals, and you'll need 4 of each of them, so 16 items total. And I think it costs a total of 80,000 seals. Anyways, you just hand in all of these items together and you complete the step. Next, you'll need to spend some more poetics on Ether Oil. You can either just spend poetics on this and buy the 5 Ether Oil outright. They cost 350 tomes each. You can also use the repeatable quest called the Gift of the Archmagus. This will give you an Ether Oil every time you complete all 3 Crystal Tower raids. If you're just doing this quest passively, there's no reason not to pick this up and just hope that your Alliance raid roulette completes this for you a couple times. Either way, there's a fairly good chance you're going to cap out on poetics before you complete those 3 raids if you're doing your daily roulettes and stuff, so this step will probably be completed through poetics. Next is probably the worst step in terms of poetic cost. You'll need to get Umbrite, and you'll need to get Crystal Sand. Umbrite can only be bought with poetics, and that is the problem. You'll need to probably get around 60 Umbrite total, and 60 Umbrite, that'll cost 75 poetics each. You're looking at around 4,500 poetics. As for the Crystal Sand that you also need, this can be obtained in numerous ways. The best way, in my opinion, would be the blue Crafter's Scripts. If you have a Crafter or a Gatherer up to levels 50 or 60, you should have no problem getting a bunch of white scripts, trading those in for the Crafter's Script tokens, and you can get 2 Crystal Sand for every 5 tokens. If you don't have your Crafters or Gatherers leveled, the next best method, in my opinion, would be to go around and get the Primal parts. You can either farm the Extremes yourself, or you can just go check the market board. Usually these aren't too expensive. In my experience, this is definitely the step you'll be on for the longest amount of time. I think it took me 2 to 3 days of grinding it fairly actively to get it all done. It's just a huge fucking poetics sink, so this is the part where you're really going to need to grind a lot of poetics. Also, just for some additional tips if you need poetics, and leave your advice in the comments below if you have any extra, but I would say look for any stuff you can get the first time completion bonus on. If you haven't done the old coil raids yet, those all give you 100 poetics for your first time completion, or if you have a friend who hasn't done them, you could just run them together, and boom, 100 poetics each. Also, The Alexander Savage raids provide the exact same thing. If you haven't done those yet, get a buddy with you and you'll be able to get through all 12 of them, no problem. Eureka Fates are another great way to get poetics, and if you want to work on a Stormblood relic at the same time, it's perfect. If you've got your Blue Mage level, then you can always do that for your weekly targets and your weekly Masked Carnival, and if you haven't done Blue Mage yet, you can always do that if you're really desperate to get all the first time completion rewards on Masked Carnival. Now that you've got 60 of each though, go ahead and trade those all in, put all the stat points onto your weapon, you'll get a total of 180. I believe this used to be 240, so it's quite a bit easier now. If you want the optimal stats, just go ahead and look it up, and if you don't care because it's just for glamour, then put them in whatever the fuck you want. A big congratulations, as you've now finished with the longest step of this relic. Your reward is to grind more poetics. Next you'll need to get 50 singing clusters. These aren't as bad to get, they only cost 40 poetics each. So if you hit a cap of 2,000, you can just buy all of them outright. I would not recommend this though, because you can take a weekly quest. It's called Seeking Inspiration. It'll just ask you to do duty roulette leveling 3 times, and it'll give you 18 clusters. You can also take a daily quest called Cut from a Different Cloth. This one will give you 1 singing cluster for doing your 50, 60, 70, 80 roulettes. My personal recommendation for this would be to do the 2 quests once and then buy the rest with poetics. And if you're wanting to do this over a long period of time, then just do the weekly quest twice and filler in as many daily quests as you need to hit 50. Now you're truly through with most of the poetic spending. You'll only need to spend a couple more later on. For the next step, you'll have to go run 3 hard mode dungeons, Sawmal Hard, the Great Gubal Library Hard, and the Lost City of Amdapur Hard. After that, you'll reach a step reminiscent of that of the light farming step from Zodiac Weapons. You'll be given an enhanced Anima glass so you can view your progress. You'll also need to pick up the repeatable quest Some Assembly Required from the node next to where you got your relic weapon quest, and this will give you a newborn soulstone once it's completed. To complete it, you'll need 15 Numite. You can either buy these with poetics, which I don't recommend, or buy them with seals, which I do recommend. You'll need this newborn soulstone once you've completed the light farming step. To farm light the most efficiently for this relic, the best way is to go do A9S, Alexander 9 Savage. It's called the Eyes of the Creator. Just put up a party finder for this, put the unrestricted party option on, and you'll just run it. It'll take about 45 seconds. If you've got 8 people in there, you will absolutely melt the boss. You'll only have to run it for about 20 minutes, and you'll be all done with this part of the quest. I've noticed party finders for this are up very frequently. There's a good chance when you get to this step, just check the party finder and see if someone's already made one. If you really don't want to use party finder for whatever reason, even though it's just an unsync run, you could do Zervin Extreme, I believe, is the fastest way to solo farm it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but either way, you probably shouldn't solo farm it in the first place. Just go do A9S. And with that, you're already on the final step of the Anima weapon. Yeah, it's really that easy. All you need to do now is run a bunch of trials. I believe it's 11 or 12 in total. You'll need to do a bunch of the Realm Reborn trials, and then you'll need to do a bunch of the Heaven's War trials, including the Warring Triad. The worst part of this step is having to do Bismarck, because no matter what, it's always going to take like fucking 5 minutes and you're going to want to kill yourself. Fuck Bismarck, man. All my homies hate Bismarck. After that, you'll get a little trolled and asked to spend 500 more poetics, so if you weren't prepared to spend even more poetics after all of that, you might have to go run like an MSQ roulette. And you can get your Archaic Enchanted Ink, trade that in, and you've got your beautiful Lux weapon. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I really do think this is the easiest relic you could go for in the game. I haven't done Stormblood or Shadowbringers in their entirety yet. I've only done some of the Shadowbringers relic because I honestly like the first phase a lot more than the last phase for a lot of the relics. And I have done a little bit of Eureka, and I think it's kind of fun, so I do want to go back in there and really do a Stormblood relic. I think the Samurai one is what I'll go for. I haven't actually fully completed a second Anima weapon, but it's already much easier to start gathering the things you need in advance for your second one. You can just go for all the Umbrite right out of the gates, and you can grind out the other stuff if you want to, or whatever. Either way, it's just a bunch of poetics. It's all poetics. If you're always capped on your poetics, like me, because you have nothing else to spend them on, and boom, this is the relic for you. A lot of these ones look really damn cool too, like the Dark Knight sword is one of the coolest in the game. And I really like the Warrior Axe, even though I don't like it as much as the Realm Reborn one. And the Astro weapon is just absolutely beautiful, that's why I went for that one first. I like the Black Mage staff. There's just so many fucking cool relics from Heaven's Ward, and you can get them all so passively that there's no point not working on one in the background. With all said and done, thanks for tuning in to the Big Blue Purple channel. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope if you don't have a relic yet, maybe this gave you the push you need to finally start working on one in the background. I promise you it is worth the slight bit of effort you have to put in to get one of these fucking beautiful ass weapons. I also just wanted to say a huge thanks to all the support on the last video I made. I never saw it doing that well when I imagined uploading it, but thank you guys so much for checking out that video and leaving so many likes and leaving all your experiences in the comments. I really liked reading about everyone else getting their Zodiac weapons because, God, it is nice to share that experience with others. I am so glad I wasn't the only one to suffer through that. Thanks again for tuning in. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and leave your comments down below. How was your Anima weapon experience? And what other things in Final Fantasy XIV would you like me to talk about? I absolutely love this game, and I'd love to keep making commentary-style videos just talking about experiences in the game. Now get out there and spend those goddamn poetics.